Hello folks, and welcome back once more to another entry in my top 50 games of 2025. As I mentioned previously, this is the top 50 games I have played in 2025, so not necessarily new releases of 2025, not necessarily my all-time favourite games, just everything I've played since January 1st through to now. Today's video will be games 30 to 21, so without further ado, once more, let's get stuck in. Starting us off at number 30 is Caylus 1303. This is a remake of a classic worker placement game, a brutal worker placement game. You will not make friends in this one. You are gathering resources and then building up more worker placement spaces that get better and better on the road up towards the castle. I'd not heard of this game before it was given to me as a gift by my wife, but it quickly became a firm favourite in the genre for us. And it's been on the list for a couple of years now. We really like it. At number 29, we have Star Realms, probably my favourite competitive deck builder. This is the second evergreen title on the list. It's been with us since the very first top 50. It's just an absolute classic. We have the big storage box, which also contains, we got the Frontiers expansion, the Colonies expansion, all the little blister pack expansions that add characters, co-op ability, events and things like that. But yeah, I just love playing the game. I love starting off with the basic cards. We've just got the ability to purchase and the ability to just hit twice, and that's it. And then you just end up building up a large armada of ships from across the 4 different factions that end up doing massive hits, and you can pair up with the same factions in the same hand so that you're having like multiple attacks from the same cards. It's just really, really good. And how it ramps up from that sort of basic start to that you can have really epic turns towards the end of the game. We tried Hero Realms as well, and we also own Cthulhu Realms, but I think Star Realms is my favourite of those games. At number 28, we have Yamate. This has been on and off my list for a couple of years now, and 28 is actually the highest it's ever been, mostly because we've played it more this year than any other year previous. It's a classic Days of Wonder game it's just cardboard and chunky wooden pieces, but it looks absolutely gorgeous when it's all set up on the table. I really enjoy the action selection for this game. There's 10 actions available in the game. You only get to pick from 5 each round, and the spot you go to will decide your turn order for the next round, the action that you'll get to do, and the number of boats and what colours they are that you're going to be then placing out on the board between all the islands to be able to put your houses on the islands. And all that together is what's driving your decision space each turn. And in a 2-player game, like we have always played it, it's a bit like King Domino, where you just get that extra worker, so you're having 2 turns per round. And so you really got to think about your turn order, because you could end up being 3rd and 4th in the turn order, which is devastating in a 2-player game. But yeah, this is it's out of print now, so I just cherish it a bit more than a lot of other games in the collection, because it's one of my favourites, but also you just can't get hold of it anymore. It's a real shame. I really wish they'd reprint it. But if you've got Yamate and you've played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. At number 27, we have Champions of Midgard. And this is a real surprise, because we've been playing this since 2021. I have loved it since 2021, and this is the first year it's on my list. And I don't know, I can't explain why that's taken so long to get here. But Champions of Midgard is a pretty basic worker placement game. You're just gathering resources, using your dice as fighters to go off and take care of various monsters around the board. And that's about it. Across 8 rounds, that's all you do. But I just love all the little interactions you have with the other players of deciding who's going for what, because monsters are also limited. So even if you want to go after stuff, if someone's already gone there and taken up those spaces, you can't do it. But there's the whole thing with the trolls, where if no one does it, the villagers kind of blame you for not looking after them, and you get these blame tokens, which are negative points. Then there's going across the sea to fight the bigger monsters, but you have to like stock up supplies on a boat, and you have to rent or buy a boat to do that. And it's a gamble going across the water, because there's dangers that maybe lurk in there. It's just really, really good. I will say we do have both the expansions, which I won't play without now. They do make the game a lot better. The Dark Mountains adds another area you can go to for fighting bigger monsters, but you don't need as much in the way of like sort of transport and supplies to get there. And then we have the Valhalla expansion, which just means that when your dice warriors die in battle, that isn't the end of everything. You get these tokens you can cash in for bonuses and stuff. It just makes it especially if you roll bad and you lose dice because you didn't fight off a monster, it just means you might still get something out of it in the end. But yeah, just a real surprise that I've never put that on the list before. It's a really good game. In at number 26 is Space Base. This has been a firm favourite of ours for quite a few years now. We have last year we finished the Shy Pluto expansion. This year we're on the my God, I can't even remember what the expansion is called now. But it's the number 2 story expansion. But yeah, I just love Space Base because it's one of those games where everyone is involved on everyone's turn, which I really, really like. It keeps everyone engaged in the game the whole time. As you roll your dice, and based on what they've got on their boards or above their boards, they might get to benefit things too. Yeah, the expansions have been brilliant for adding more and more content. I had to get the Command Station big box in the end to keep everything in because I didn't want to go through all the separate expansion boxes. But yeah, they add more things like the fighter tokens, more dice, and more crazy cards that just do the weirdest things. I think one of the only flaws to Space Base is there's such variety in the ship cards that sometimes every game we have people going, what does this do? And it's like, oh, I can't remember what those symbols mean. Back to the manual. There's a lot going on in the game, but it's just, oh yeah, it's just dice rolling madness, and I love it. We cross the halfway line now as we hit game 25 on the list, and it's Sagrada. We borrowed a friend's copy a couple of years ago, ended up playing it 5 times in a week, so it was inevitable that a copy of the game would end up in our collection. It's a really nice abstract dice placement game. It gives me vibes of things like Calico, where the decision space is quite loose in the first couple of turns, as you just take whatever comes your way and start to form a plan. But in the last few turns of the game, it is super tight because you are limited on dice numbers, dice colors you can take based on placement availability, and you start to resent the other players at the table as they keep taking that one dice you needed to just make everything work. There's a nice level of variability with the personal goals, the public goals, and the extra abilities you can have. And I really like the twist where the ability price goes up if you're not the first person to do it. So there's always this kind of like risk reward of like jumping on those early enough so you get it for cheap, or do you hold out and hope that no one else uses that ability before you really need it? I think that's really, really clever. And it's just a nice looking game with like colourful dice on a board. But yeah, that's number 25. And following up with another abstract strategy game, at number 24 we have Azul. Now we have 4 of the games in our collection. We've got from the base game through to Queen's Garden, and I enjoy all of them. But every year we seem to play a different one more than the others, so that becomes the Azul game that hits my top 50 list. This year it's the original one again. I really like it. It works just fine at 2, but I've been playing a decent amount of 4-player games on BGA recently. And I just love, it's really thinking about like the tiles you're going to take and trying to maximize, because you want to get the columns in, you want to try and go for all the colors to get more points, but then it's also quite fun to look at the other players' boards and realize if you take choice A instead of choice B, it's going to really screw them over for negative points. And I love it when you take some tiles and then you just hear another player go, oh, why? That's quite satisfying. Sorry to everyone I've ever done that with, but it is a lot of fun. But yeah, the original Azul, I think it's a masterpiece. And if you haven't tried it, definitely make an effort to get that to your table. And at number 23, we have Marvel United X-Men, also known as All of That Lot on the top. I talked myself out of back in the original Marvel United campaign. As I've said before, I love Marvel, but I was able to walk away from it. So they decided to do an X-Men one, and that was harder to walk away from, and it was expensive. And after it arrived, it sat on the shelf for a while. We dipped in and out of the core box a couple of times and thought it was all right. A little bit lightweight. It's very much a family game. But then this year we just decided to just get stuck in. We've got so many heroes to choose from, so each game we would just pick new heroes out of the boxes. And trying all the expansions, the villains are actually quite interesting. The different mechanics they use. And like any sort of like co-op game of that ilk, you have games where things just get out of control early on and you've got no hope. And then there's games that you feel that you absolutely smashed it and the game stood no chance. But yeah, just having it all up on the table and having our minis running around and we're trying to sort of coordinate with our cards and that. It's I find it very enjoyable and relaxing to play that game, and hopefully in 2026 we're just going to play a lot more of it because there's still a lot of content we haven't dug into yet. Number 22 on my list is Six Nimmt, one of my favourite small box card games of all time. This is so much fun to play with high play counts because the game, you have 4 lanes and you are playing cards from your hand face down, and when they're revealed, that you go from lowest to highest and you place them against the lanes to the sort of next lowest card sequentially. It's very hard to explain this game without props, but when a lane's filled up with 5 cards, a 6th card will trigger the player having to take all 5 cards that are there, placing the card that they did put down as the first one in that lane again. And each of the cards has a variety of points on it that are basically negative points. So if you have to sweep 5 cards up, you can have anywhere between 5 and, I don't know, 20 points, something ridiculous like that. But you are trying to plan the next card in your hand that you think will put down safely, as it will be sequentially next or nearest to a card in a lane, but somebody else who you don't know might just put down a card that's just one before that one that pushes you over the edge. It's the higher the player count with Six Nimmt, the better, because the chaos kicks off a lot quicker and you can get multiple people having to pick up lanes per round. In a 2-player game, you're wasting the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds, just filling up the lanes. It doesn't really go anywhere. But yeah, 6 players, Six Nimmt cooks. It's a lot of fun. Just don't take it seriously and just have fun screwing each other over. And finally, at number 21, we have Star Wars Outer Rim. This is another game that sat in our collection for a while, collecting dust. I think we played it twice in 3 years, and I even brought the expansion. And then this year we just gave it another go, and for some reason it just sang with us. So much so that we had friends over for a 4-player game. We played more 2-player games, and I think it's just all clicked together now. The expansion really helps, especially at 2-player. I like the way that you can go from one end of the horseshoe board to the other end, as opposed to having to just zip back and forward in that long journey time that you might have. That really helps. The extra ships, the extra characters are also great, but it's just a sandbox of what if Star Wars, basically. And I have the most fun in this game, just matching up crazy pairings of having like IG-88 in charge of the Millennium Falcon for the entire game. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it sings for Star Wars fans, obviously, more than anything. And I'm just so chuffed that it's finally clicked with us, and we are getting more and more games of this played now. It's probably one of the best Star Wars games I've ever played. And there we are, 1 more video down, 20 more games to go. This is just a lot of fun going through my top 50 list. I always enjoy talking about games. You guys know that. Agree or disagree with anything on this list today? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for taking the time, as always, to watch this. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.